Hello there and welcome to the second episode of the brand new travel series here on Pleasure Beach Experience YouTube. The previous episode is linked in the description of this video and will also be linked at the end of this video too. In this episode, I'll be sharing my tips and tricks on how to make the most out of a trip to PortAventura and how to turn your PortAventura holiday into a trip where you visit multiple parks in Spain without any need to hire a car. Just for reference, I will mostly be using theme park footage in this video due to having no shots of transportation in Salou or surrounding areas. Keeping it simple to begin with, this is my guide to visiting PortAventura whether you're on a limited or flexible budget. Some of the initial information here may be very obvious stuff, but I don't want to miss that out in case it does prove to be useful. The closest airport to PortAventura is Reyes Airport. It's a 10-minute drive in a taxi or a hire car from the airport's car park to PortAventura Resort. Luckily, it's also very close to Salou, which is where most people tend to stay if you're not staying on site at PortAventura. You can also travel from Reyes Airport to PortAventura and Salou by taking a bus with a company called Bus Planner. They're reliable-ish and don't tend to be too pricey, but for ease and speed I'd go with a taxi if you're not hiring a car. If you're only going to PortAventura and having the occasional trip into Salou, or not even going into Salou, I really wouldn't bother hiring a car. Reyes Airport can be reached from the UK out of most airports, usually with Ryanair, TUI and Jet2 in the main summer season. However, outside of the main summer season, flights to Reyes can be fairly limited, which takes me on to my next point. If you're looking to visit PortAventura out of the main season, you can still reach the park fairly easily without flights to Reyes, but the journey time between the airport and PortAventura is longer. The alternative airport is Barcelona El Prat. The reason I'm giving it its full title is because there's also Barcelona Girona, which is even further away from PortAventura. Barcelona, or as it's shortened to, BCN, can easily be reached from several British airports throughout the year, which means going out to PortAventura for a visit in December is very straightforward. So when is the best time to visit PortAventura? This is a tough one to talk about because everyone has different expectations. I like PortAventura when it's quiet and I can walk onto each ride without a long wait, but there's also something special about a busy day at PortAventura when the park is open through the night, and by through the night I mean well past midnight. Generally speaking, it's difficult to pinpoint precise times in the calendar for when PortAventura will be very busy or very quiet. Over the past 15 years I've been to this park quite a lot, and still struggle to work out exactly what to expect from the crowd levels between April and September. Weekdays in the spring are either like a ghost town or packed with school trips, there's just no in between. July and August tend to be 2 to 3 hour queues busy, and September weekdays used to be really quiet. I'm not sure if that's the case anymore though. October weekdays, they're usually pretty quiet with the weekends very busy, but when the Halloween event kicks in on a daily basis, it becomes a very, very, very busy park to visit. November tends to be fairly quiet, and my experience of visiting in December between 2013 and 2019 were that the park has always got busy walkways, but the ride queues are always very, very quiet. December tends to be a time when the locals and pass holders visit to soak up the Christmas atmosphere without paying any attention to the walk-on queues for the roller coasters. There's two ways to book your trip to PortAventura. Package holidays with companies like Jet2, or you can book things individually without the help of an airline or a travel agent. I always go for the latter, but I think both options do have their benefits. Package holidays tend to be more expensive, but come with flights and your on-site reservation, which usually includes park tickets. I've always gone with the option of booking my own flight, usually booking the cheapest option and looking for the best flight times whilst I'm doing it, and then I can pick where I want to stay afterwards, alongside organising transfers and everything else in my own time. The easy option is to do it as a package holiday, but I prefer it the other way, which takes me nicely onto my next point. Hotels. There's so many hotel options in Salou, including the on-site PortAventura hotels. Admittedly, I've never actually stayed in one of those, yet, but coronavirus permitting, that will be changing this year. PortAventura has 6 hotels on site. Not all of them are walking distance to the main entrance, but those that aren't have a shuttle service to the main entrance. Staying on site has advantages. Park tickets are always included, there's deals to be had on fast-pass tickets, and there's also the huge benefit of being able to take a break at the hotel during a theme park day without the need to get a bus or a taxi back into Salou. If you don't book a package holiday, I would recommend booking a stay at one of the PortAventura hotels directly through PortAventura for the best deals. For hotel stays in Salou, I have used booking.com, but there's also hotels.com. Both sites are good for finding good deals at good hotels. I regularly used to stay at a hotel called the Regente Aragon, which is clean, modern, friendly and affordable. It is also within walking distance of Salou's seafront, close by to a bus stop where you can get a bus to PortAventura, even closer to a taxi rank, and fairly close to plenty of restaurants. Your hotel choice really does depend on if you want to spend time in Salou or not. If you don't fancy seeing the beach, walking along the seafront and mingling with other tourists around Salou, staying on site at PortAventura is probably the best option. But if you do fancy seeing a bit of Salou, having an alcoholic drink in the evening and so on, and staying in Salou may well be the best option for you. Nightlife in Salou can be very good, but it can also be very rubbish. The length of time needed at PortAventura can depend on two factors. Those factors being when you visit and what you're looking to get out of the trip. For example, are you going for just rides, or do you want to see the shows as well as doing the rides? If you're only going for the coasters, Fast Pass will be of a massive benefit to you and lessen the amount of time you need to spend at the park. Known as Express Pass, there's 3 tiers. Express Max at €35 gives access to selected thrill ride attractions for one ride each on those. Express Premium at €60, that gives you unlimited access to selected thrill rides, and there's Express Fun at €25, which doesn't give you access to any of the major thrill coasters. Depending on the time of the year, one day might well be enough with Express Premium, but Fast Pass queues can be as long as the main queues in July, August and peak days in October. Always give yourself too much time rather than not enough time. If you're going for the full experience, as in the rides, the shows and soaking up the atmosphere in the sunshine, you're going to need 3 days in my opinion. PortAventura can be rushed around for just the coasters, but I find the park is more than that. 10 years ago there's absolutely no way I'd be thinking of PortAventura for anything more than the coasters. But a visit in 2012 changed my mind when we watched one of the shows to get out of the heat. This encouraged us to watch more of the shows on each visit, and now it's a big part of visiting PortAventura. As well as the rides and shows, there's plenty of places you can sit, relax and soak up the atmosphere with an alcoholic drink of Estrella. The amount of time required at the park entirely depends on the time of the year that you visit. A visit in August will require a few days at least for a full experience. A visit in December will probably only take 1 or 2 days. Always give yourself too much time and have spare time to redo the things you want to do a second time. It feels a little weird doing a video with travel tips and not giving firm suggestions on how many days you need at PortAventura, but everyone's expectations are different, and as well, the desired pace of getting around a theme park varies from person to person. So to summarise about PortAventura, if you're looking for a budget trip, use Skyscanner to find flights. Your local airport may not always have the best flight deals. For a budget trip, use booking.com to find a hotel that fits within your budget, but please always check the reviews. While some people do leave very petty criticism, I do tend to find most of the reviews left on booking.com and hotels.com are sensible. Park tickets are always best to book in advance. PortAventura's official website usually has some really good advance deals, but there's also attraction tickets linked in the description which usually have very good deals. If you have a flexible budget, I would still recommend using Skyscanner for the best flight deals, but I would probably be looking at on-site accommodation before anywhere else. This really does depend on if you want to spend time in Salou or not though. If you're a little bit unsure about booking it all individually and fancy the ease of everything being covered under one booking, a package holiday with one of the airlines is definitely the best option. I will link in the description to all the possible ways of getting to PortAventura in relation to everything that's been discussed in this video.
But Scott, why just visit PortAventura when you can make more of it and visit an even better park instead? Everybody knows Parque Madrid is the best park in Spain, but let's talk about a trip where you can visit both parks and a third park too.
PortAventura and Parque Madrid are roughly 354 miles apart, so you'd think that to do both in one trip you'd need to hire a car, but that's not the case.
There's the option of a high-speed train service between Madrid and Barcelona. It takes roughly 3 hours, sometimes more, sometimes less, which is a far better option than I remember us all taking back in 2013. That was a nighttime service, which me, Scott, and 4 others took.
Never again, thankfully. That service was actually cancelled in 2015 by the looks of it. I was doing some research about it for this video and discovered it's no longer a thing. Thank goodness. The 6-person cabin was more of a 3-person cabin. It was fun to begin with, but more and more unpleasant as the evening went on. As far as the high-speed train goes that Becca mentioned, to reach the theme parks, you'll still need to do more transportation by road or rail from the Barcelona and Madrid train stations to the nearby parks. Madrid Atocha is about 30 minutes away from Pinto. Pinto is very close to Park Warner, and Barcelona is another hour away from PortAventura. That journey can be done by bus or rail or car hire if you prefer.
Internal flights between Madrid and Barcelona are possible and take around 1 hour and 30 minutes in total. Having never done this, I am not sure how fast or slow the process of getting through the airport would be for an internal flight.
So we have 3 solid options here. The first one being hire a car and take the 354-mile journey. There's a coastal route, or there's a route which passes by Zaragoza where you can add 4 coasters to your coaster count if you really want to. There's a high-speed train, which I did in 2014. That was a really pleasant experience. And finally, there's the internal flight. If I was going to book to do this summer, I'd pick any of those options. I will leave more information about each of the options discussed in this video in the video description. Over to Becca for a look at the area nearby to Park Warner, including hotels and transportation to the park.
Each time we've been to Park Warner, we've stayed in Pinto at a hotel called Cercatel Hotel Princesa de Boli, located just 15 minutes away from Park Warner in a hire car or a taxi. We both recommend this hotel. Whilst it does feel a bit dated now, the facilities are very nice throughout. The reception staff are always helpful, and importantly, it is located next door to a very convenient supermarket, which also has a small selection of restaurants. This hotel is only a 15-minute walk from the local train station. From the local train station, you can get a shuttle bus service to Park Warner. You can also get back into Madrid from there, which will be useful if heading to the airport in Madrid or starting to make your journey to PortAventura. If you use an internal flight to get to Park Warner from Madrid or simply just fancy a trip to Park Warner, it is worth looking at getting a pre-booked taxi with suntransfers.com. Sun Transfers are reliable, well priced and have nice comfortable vehicles for the journey.
The 2 times I've travelled between these parks, I've started in Madrid and gone to PortAventura to end the trip, but it's easy enough to do it either way. It's probably worth a mention there is other hotels in the Pinto area to the one that Becca mentioned, which can either be found on booking.com or hotels.com. Unfortunately, Park Warner does not have a hotel on site. So how many days is enough for Park Warner?
2 at least. Even though it doesn't get as busy as PortAventura, it is a big park and not the easiest to navigate. Just like PortAventura, they have shows all around the park too, and if you're into watching theme park shows, it's well worth leaving enough time to experience the rides and the shows. There's also the water park to consider too, not ideal though with no on-site accommodation.
2 days in the main Park Warner theme park is plenty, but something to consider: Fast Pass. The park never seems to be busy, but on the rare occasion that you do find that there's a queue for something, blatant queue jumping is enough to totally ruin a day and a holiday to Park Warner, and unfortunately happens far too often. For a full, detailed look at the good and the bad of Park Warner, please check out my review video, which will be linked at the end of this video. If you really fancy boosting your coaster count, there's another park in Madrid too, and the coaster lineup isn't that bad.
Parque de Attractions, also known as Madrid's theme park, has 7 roller coasters and is only 1 hour and 10 minutes away from Pinto on public transport. You can catch a train from Pinto's train station to Nuevos Ministerios, followed by using the metro service from there to a station called Batan, which is 2 minutes walk from Parque de Attractions. If you are interested in sightseeing in Madrid as well as doing theme parks, doing so after spending time at this park would be the ideal opportunity.
So to summarise, visiting PortAventura, Park Warner and Parque de Attractions in one trip is certainly doable with a variety of transport methods available. Visiting PortAventura on its own or just visiting the Madrid parks is easily done over a few days, but if you do get a chance to visit all 3 in one trip, I really do recommend it. I hope that this travel guide for PortAventura and the Madrid parks has been interesting and useful. I'd love to see in a few months' time people commenting on this video to say that they were influenced by this video. If you have found this useful, please give it a like. Can you help us reach 200 likes on this video? Also, where do you want to see featured next in a travel guide? Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in the next Pleasure Beach Experience video.